Welcome one, welcome all into the official restart of the Vanquisher League here from Titan Esports, sporting some new faces on the caster side of things. I am Slayer, going to be your main play-by-play going through another fun fall 2024 split. I'll be joined by the Golden Gad as we are set to get into week number 1 here. It's going to be a fun one, Gold Gad. It's mostly fun because we're still figuring out what the hell League of Legends is like after this 14.19 patch that threw everything to the wayside.
Yeah, they definitely threw everything at it. I mean, the patch before that was pretty huge as far as champion changes, but then they were like, we could just also overhaul all the items too. Why not? We might as well just turn the table completely. There were a couple champions that got completely killed as well, which was kind of fun. Particularly Cassante, I'd say, is pretty dead. I think I saw him at like 41% the other day. So, yeah, don't be playing that. If you see your teammate playing it, maybe consider dodging because no one's at the skill level required for that champion now that he's been changed. So, just a little heads up there. But I am excited to get into week 1. Let's see what these teams have been cooking. They had a bit of a break. They've obviously been signed up for a little bit, so they definitely knew that they were coming into this match, and this is week 1, so you definitely want to start off hot in order to reach playoffs by the end of these regular rounds.
Yeah, just want to start with right foot forward. You do have about, I believe, 6 weeks of regular season games to get to that playoffs point. Another champion to shout out that I'm glad is just nerfed into the ground with all these changes. Don't play Smolder. Smolder actually kind of sucks right now, so that's very fun as an AD carry player of mine. Let's introduce the teams, though, that we are dealing with here. Iridescent Dawn, Frozen, one of the many Iridescent Dawn rosters that we have in the Vanquish League this time around. And a couple names that I recognize from a couple of these other master level, diamond level leagues. IB Ungodly has been a part of a lot of Iridescent Dawn rosters, and Nuffies as well. Not a ton of solo queue work, though, for these guys just yet, though, Golden Gat.
Yeah, from what I was looking at, the only one who's really been grinding those games away is IB Ungodly. Has played, I think, like 20 games almost at this point, so definitely putting in the games. Everyone else taking it slow. Maybe we'll scale up as the league goes on, but notably Nuffies from the last league. I did watch at least one best of 5 in that playoffs. Did pull out the Silas, looked great. I think there was also a Zillion at some point. Very interesting picks, definitely possible in the mid lane as well. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how they'll end up doing now that the roster kind of shaked up completely for Iridescent Dawn here.
I'm sure we'll be talking more about where mid lane is at currently, because I'm sure a lot of people would argue on 14.19 mid lane champions, especially with some of those items, are probably the power point of a lot of team comps. So we'll see that as we get into the draft. But we do have another familiar team and a familiar organization around this master to diamond level rosters that you see in a lot of these leagues. It's the winning formula, spotting one of the better logos in the Vanquisher League, in my opinion. Also a team that I'm familiar with a couple of their players. Zohair has been a part of the winning formula for a couple splits. I saw him over in the Risen equivalent of this Titan League. And then quality player, think we know where the logo might have came from this guy, Golden Gad.
I mean, with a pun like that, no wonder they chose it as the logo. I think that's a pretty good one there. And across the board, everyone's been playing quite a bit of solo queue. And a little bit interestingly, the one pick I'll shout out is Kentology has been playing Kog'Maw, which is pretty interesting to see, at least, considering how AD carry is right now.
Yeah, Kog'Maw, it was funny because before these changes came, the highest win rate Kog'Maw was this, like, full AP burst Kog'Maw that everyone was playing with, where they would just, like, the Living Artillery would chunk people, like, so heavily, and that's where a lot of AD carries were. It's not a surprise to me that Kentology's highest mastery is Jhin. Also was a very bursty champion, but yeah. AD carry as a whole, I guess it's something we could certainly talk about, Golden Gad, as we get set for the draft, is in just such... I mean, I would say a doomer spot as an AD carry player, but I know Twitter would flame me as, oh, you're just complaining about your role like you do every split. But you probably have a more based take on the status of bottom lane from now compared to just a couple weeks ago.
I definitely say it's tumultuous. I've seen so many AD carries just unable to chip through these bruisers, especially after some of these changes. Like Thornmail got buffed. That's pretty scary for AD carries in particular. And then on top of that, a lot of the champions that were strong are pretty nerfed. You can play the more utility AD carries and they still work pretty well, Jhin, Ashe, stuff like that, but you're not really carrying at this point because of how much damage has been taken off. And you really got to go look at, the real reason this is happening, and that was that AD carries were too strong in mid lane and they couldn't figure out how to balance it with just isolated towards mid. And guess what? The entire role gets slapped around a little bit, but 14-19, huge patch. it doesn't look like huge because everyone always looks at champ changes, but you look at the top right, every single item has been kind of readjusted in certain ways. Gold values changing. They wanted to align all the items closer to what their gold actually is. So you saw, for instance, Dagger is now 250, so some AD carries are going to feel pretty good about that. But you still do no damage because all the tank items got buffed, which is, pretty interesting, for sure. And then, yeah, I mean, besides that, I kind of just want to see how these games play out in a more coordinated environment.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that the tank items are kind of the unsung hero of a lot of these changes, because items like Heartsteel now are just, I mean, you could build that thing on anybody and you become just such a problem to deal with, while still kind of holding the burst ability that Heartsteel brings to those tanks with that first auto. I can't tell you the number of Cho'Gath players I've seen just having the time of their lives, man, because you just chill top lane farming to get your Heartsteel, and then you run around. No AD carry is going to kill you, and then you hit them with a Heartsteel, and then you hit R, and you basically one-shot any marksman or mid laner that you really want to go after. So tanks are a very fun part of 14.19. AD carries, not so much. Interesting to see as well when we talk about the mid lane Golden Gad. A lot of those Storm Surge based champions are really loving that. LeBlanc, Syndra. I've seen Diana players go pop. Yeah, so much Syndra. Diana players love it too. Interestingly enough, that's one of the first items that is going to be nerfed that we just got word of on 14.20 whenever that patch comes around.
Who would have guessed, right?
Right.
I will shout out one champion that I think has been flying under the radar that I think is actually extremely powerful. It's gonna be Akali. Actually, I think Akali's in a really strong state, but it's kind of scary to play because some of these matchups are a bit difficult. For instance, Syndra, you have to outplay if you want to get close. But I think that champion is very overloaded damage wise right now. So if skill permitting, I'd like to see that at least get explored just a little bit. Couple of the 80 mids, Yone, still pretty good. And then obviously he has lethal tempo back. I haven't actually seen Yone's 100% go for lethal tempo. We've still seen some Conqueror floating around, some Grasp even, of course, in the top lane. Grasp now kind of the replacement for Fleet Footwork. Yeah, definitely contributing to all that tankiness that you definitely love. Yeah.
Yep. Such a big fan. So glad that IE is the most expensive item in the game too, guys. 3,600 gold. So fun. I'll tame my 80 carry complaining for most of this, but I'm sure some people are relating it to me. What we all can relate to at home is this lovely screen. We are into the first draft of our Vanquisher League time. The winning formula on that blue side, you've got Iridescent Dawn, Frozen on the red side. A lot of jungle and AP bans coming through so far, and Golden Gad, I'm going to ask you the impossible question on a pretty fresh patch. Where are you looking to go B1 here with all we talked about on 14.19?
B1. It's pretty interesting. I think a champion that comes to mind would be actually Aurora. We're seeing it in even Worlds right now. You can play it in top. You can flex it mid. There's even the potential, with the numbers still being pretty good, that you could play it bot. That's the champion that I would shout out at least. Other picks that have been getting some prio. Ashe, most likely. Oh, there we go.
Oh, hey. All right.
I had to think about it, but Ashe is going to be locked up. As I said, one of those utility 80 carries can't really go wrong since you aren't really doing damage. You need to be the supportive player on the team. We're back to Damwon and the supportive 80 carry meta.
Yep. People forget about that. The 2024 started with people playing Ashe and Jhin support. That's like where we were at. What a year we've had as 80 carries marksman. We went from just slamming them support with lethality, hail of blades, to they're so broken you have to pick two of them to win a game of League, and now we're here. Now we're here picking what I think might be a Ziggs bottom lane is the answer to this Ashe here from IDF. I wouldn't be surprised. You have the flexibility for it, but it's just such a safe bottom lane pick right now.
Yeah, and I talked about it earlier. Don't pick Cassante. We're actually going to see a Cassante immediately in this top side, and it's going to get answered by Gwen. And this matchup is terrible for Cassante. If you ever find yourself in a side lane against Cassante, or against Gwen as Cassante, you are screwed. So you're going to need to see some navigation as far as side laning, and I would want to see IDF draft something that can kind of match Gwen in that mid game. Like I'd want to see maybe a Yone, since they do have that that AP bot. At least they can then match Yone into Gwen, and it's something that you can neutralize that wave. But Cassante right now, I don't think is in a state to be able to duel Gwen in any way. I will say Cassante at least has one thing back in his favor, which is the insect kind of Cassante thing, where you can E and then fast W backwards to kind of push them back immediately. That's back in the game. but the auto range especially has really hurt this champion, and that really made his laning phase a lot weaker when it was one of the premier things that you do pick K'Sante for. But bans going all towards the jungle. Now there's like 5 jungle bans, 6 jungle bans actually, all to try and neutralize some of these more setup heavy junglers. So Vi, Skarner, Xin Zhao, all getting taken off. But it's gonna be Zyra. More AP.
Okay. Yeah, we're pretty far away from when Zyra felt broken in the jungle. There, her clear was so fast, her scaling was so dangerous. The plants. I mean, you still get the CC control that she can bring, but does kind of inhibit a lot of the early game jungle pathing you can kind of go for. And I do like that Zohair. Well, actually, I'm curious. Maybe it could be a Gwen jungle, could be a Poppy jungle. One of the two will show up here, and we get Orianna back in the mid lane. That gives the counter pick to Nuffies. Where do you want to go? Do you want the Ziggs for yourself, or do you want to pick a primary matchup where you can bully this Orianna?
I think at this point you've already indexed so heavy into... Oh, interesting.
Oh, yep.
Zeri. Okay. I think that is Zeri bot, most likely, into Ashe, which kind of sucks, but, it is what
That's a tough pick.
Yeah. I will say right off the bat, I really do like the winning formulas, draft here. I think Poppy is in the strongest state she's been in quite a while, considering all the other champs that have gotten nerfed. And you do have some pretty good champs that do get countered by this Poppy. Zeri, K'Sante, and Rakan in particular. And wow, we're going to see Zeri mid.
Zeri mid.
I thought this got nerfed because the passive,
it definitely did.
The passive lightning bolt got completely gutted. So I thought it would be just gone. So I'm pretty surprised to see it back in. I will say IDF hasn't played the patch as much. Maybe they just aren't familiar with how bad these champions have been nerfed, considering what I'm looking at right now. It looks like last season, basically.
Yeah, I would give them that. I would give them that benefit if like Zeri mid wasn't nerfed like 3 patches ago. But I digress. We'll see exactly how it looks as we are back on to Summoner's Rift with the same awesome intro that I love so much about Titan League, and happy to be here taking you guys through the Vanquisher League week number 1. 2 comps. Definitely drafted in different eras, it feels like, but draft is only half the battle, Golden Gada. It's how you execute on the Rift. And that's what we'll find out between our 2 squads.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised we're actually seeing the Gwen in the jungle instead. They're obviously going for the idea that they already have winning lanes. They don't need to, kind of push that further with Poppy in the jungle and Gwen in top. Since Poppy generally still beats K'Sante right now, at least as far as poke is concerned. And you can see ProComps kind of agreeing with at least my sentiment that the winning formula has the winning formula. Ha ha ha. Sorry.
I mean, that pun had to come out at some point.
Yeah, we'll get it out of the way now. But besides that, I mean, both these champions, Zyra and Gwen, just want to farm up in this early game, get to a little bit more of an established state, and then they will fight for these bigger objectives as the game goes on. But Gwen really no setup at all, but that's not too much of a problem with the draft that's been picked here.
Must be nice as the color caster, the analyst on the desk, that right off a rip, Golden Gad, that the pro comps is agreeing with you. That feels nice, I bet. to get we're on a united front is what we're hearing.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, but I will say last time I casted for Titan and I saw the pro comp scope, I think it was wrong every single time because it just didn't have a good read on Aurora. So that was
fun. The Aurora difference. Well, yeah. We do see both our junglers starting with mirrored clears. I know Zyra's clear speed has been nerfed. It certainly feels like this is, to lean more into the winning formula, those winning lanes. Both these junglers are going to be pretty content, I feel, Golden Gad, just farming up for a lot of these clears and not necessarily looking to go for much gank potential. Zyra has some of it, but Gwen's certainly not going to. So this really is just an area for the winning formula to take control of these lanes like they should and start to build a low-key gold lead, as I would say it.
Yeah, I think the real big point of contention will be that first grub, since Gwen usually tends to go for those immediately. So if Zyra wants to actually contest there, that would be the option. But you really won't have any pressure coming from top, since K'Sante will lose push right now. You can't really afford to be poking anymore on K'Sante until level 6, where the true damage now... On that ultimate, hold that thought. Nope, just poking out, nothing too big. But the main difference with the new K'Sante is a lot of the damage is centered around the ult. There really is almost no damage when you aren't, but Joby, listen.
All right, so we don't get the root. Do get the knockup helper. Does get remounted, but the ignite in a couple of autos is actually just enough to get it done. That looked way too easy on that new patch where there's not supposed to be enough damage. Joby does not care. Picks up first blood there for IDF.
Yeah, not flashing away from that Recon knockup was going to be the end of Helper there. As this laning phase goes on, but at least Zyra getting something done on the map. I think they definitely need to pull these lanes ahead if they want to keep up the momentum, since they will get outscaled eventually. If my read on Zeri is correct, they will get outscaled eventually. So they're definitely gonna have to put the work in early.
Definitely seems like Nuffies has adapted this Zeri mid a bit for the matchup. Don't believe most Zeri players were starting Doran Shield into a lot of their mid lane matchups, so recognizing, hey, I'm just going to take a ton of free harass here. I just need to make sure that I am able to keep as much health and regen as much health so I can stay in lane and not fall behind in the CS department. Falling behind has been the bottom lane of the winning formula, as that's a flash from Joby to get the grasping roots down. They're going all in for Helper, but they don't have their Ziggs close enough by, and that's just not enough sheer damage, so maybe a bit of an aggressive flash from the IDF jungler.
I think there was a chance if they go for kill with a flash with Ziggs, but no, never mind.
I mean, it's just CC Chain City down here. You get 3 CC abilities and a kill back over to Joby. 2-0 on this Zyra in the opening 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what you need, and Masuf's going to miss on the Q there. Can't readjust the W anymore, that's another thing, so you're kind of locked in as soon as you click that button now. Gonna try and stop this back, and it doesn't matter too much. TPs are still up. First Drake is spawning here. Looks like momentum is in favor of blue side here. TWF. They'll at least be able to get this push in, maybe get another reset. But they do have Cole, so not the most combat power, at least for this early game.
What's intriguing about your read on when we see the first bit of scuffling here, give you credit here, Golden Gad. It does seem like both these junglers are very aware of the timer on the first scrubs. They are both clearing their respective sides near that top river to be available for it. But the difference now is that Joby was able to get a whole mask and boots on a back. So Zohair, who you expect to get on top of those grubs as quickly as possible in the Gwen, now just does not win any sort of skirmish around those grubs, just purely due to items, it feels like.
Yeah, but Rel is already in the area, and that's the kind of man advantage you want. But it looks like Zyra are going to pivot towards that bot side, look towards that Drake. They're pinging it out immediately. They know Rel is not on the map, so this should be free Drake. But Rel's walking back down, but I think they're just going to go for the trade here. Yeah, I think this is pretty typical here.
Okay, well, starts it with the plants, and then, okay, making sure to get some warding down. It does feel like with the bit of itemization and the plants helping out, Joby should be able to get this done pretty confidently on the solo. I am surprised. All right, now Dibble and I, Beyond God, are going to roam over. I was going to say, you guys got the prio, man. You don't have to leave your jungler to do this alone.
but think of the tower poke. I get to press Q on them.
Yes, it's so worth it. I mean, if the turret's low enough for the very broken Zig satchel, hey, I'm with it, but this is what you should be doing, folks, in your ranked games. It doesn't have to be a competitive setting. Help your jungler take the dragon. Or stuff like this will happen, where you're juggling aggro, and now you have to readjust for it. Finally, the dragon will be taken by the Frozen Squad of Iridescent Dawn.
Yeah, and now they're just going to reset back to normal. I will say one thing. Every time we look towards this top side, I think Poppy is playing a little too aggressive. You can kind of just stand in the wave, and what is K'Sante supposed to do right now? So it's been allowing K'Sante to kind of let this wave push in, rather than being able to freeze it, which I think is definitely possible. Zohair getting the Raptors stolen away here. Doesn't matter too much since they do have a level advantage from the grubs. But just going to look, probably going to encounter Joby here. If Helper's fast enough, they might be able to catch.
Zohair does have that ultimate advantage, like you talked about, Golden Gad, but can't get close enough for the needlework slow to come across. Definitely Joby. If only Joby knew how much danger he actually was in right there.
Yeah, never punished as they go. So just going to walk back, clear all those camps. That mask definitely doing heavy favors to at least keep this close as far as the clear speed. But you're definitely seeing how Zyra is definitely not as fast of a clear as was before. Which is a little bit scary for this pick, since you're pretty exposed when you are in the jungle as Zyra. If you ever, don't hit E. Even if you hit E, sometimes you're still going to go down. So
oh yeah.
Just hasn't had the fortune of getting punished, I guess, or misfortune.
Not yet. This is always how these first week games start. Game ones, it's the duality of the beginning of the season. You either get both teams, cautiously walking around, just playing their lane states, and just not trying to throw a lead, or you get all-out chaos where everybody just wants to skirmish and fight. So we are obviously in the latter portion, and part of that is thanks to the fact that, like we're going to say a million times this split, items just don't hit as hard.
Yeah. Masoof's going to pop ult here. Poppy also ulting at the same time to get away. So now combat power a lot lower. Gwen is walking a little bit towards this top side after that blue buff, so they might be able to look for something if Masoof ends up staying.
Joby not
kind of mirroring.
Yeah, I was going to say, good call. Joby not too far away if Masoof can survive Alpha Day's initial engage. Joby does have some camps to clear. Zohar certainly spending a lot of time seeing if this gank will materialize, but Masoof's doing a good job playing cautiously, recognizing I have no vision on my topside river, so there's no reason to overstep here. And now Zohar will unconfidently reset. Oh. Caster Curse?
All right,
so here we go. So they don't get the stun off the wall. They do get a decent grounding, and wow, that looked really easy. Great setup from the top laner for the winning formula. Cashes in the first kill for the squad.
And there you go. See, Poppy is pretty good into K'Sante now because you can't change direction of that W. I think the cast times also you can shorten it as much as you want, but it still counts as a dash. So it's pretty tough when you are playing K'Sante there. So good call out there on the waiting. Patience was key. Helper looking for a Q, but there's just no damage.
Yeah, this bottom lane feels like the only way we really see kills is a jungler shows up or somebody makes a mistake in positioning, and right on cue, we might see that come down from K-Technology. Does get back after the charm comes down from My Beyond Godly, and does not have to use that summoner spell, just a bit of trading.
Yeah, the one nice thing about that top play was Gwen didn't have to use that needlework, so that means you still have the opportunity to gank. As of this Gwen, you don't have to just reserve yourself back to the jungle for a bit. Second grubs are coming up, so just going to go straight for that. And with 6 grubs in the pocket of a Gwen team, that's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, very scary. Winning Formula done a good job steadying the ship after giving a scaling Zyra a couple of early kills. The gold lead has started to slowly wither away. We're only a couple hundreds of gold difference. And like you mentioned, we are going to be in a realm where 6 grubs are in the hands of the Gwen team. Joby is trying to take the trade of the next dragon, but it is still about a minute out here. So maybe, yes, it's nice to have control of that river, but not time yet for the take.
Yeah, don't lose one camp for it, but not too big of a deal here. Overall, throughout this entire match, both sides kind of staying even here.
Oh no, Kentology face checking a brush, does have to expend the flash. Dibble not going to hit as hard yet on that Ziggs. That's the full combo, and with no full item, won't kill, but that's a warning for Kentology going forward.
Oh,
or maybe
Joby's
Joby's here. Joby's here to be the executioner. Good help from Helper on time with the pun. Double teleport coming through. Both solo lanes for the winning formula are showing up. They want the fight. The Ash Arrow is not going to land. Alpha Day does not get the ground, but gets a 3-man Keeper's Word into the 3-man Shockwave. That was pure bliss for an instant triple in the name of the winning formula.
Just going to hit the 3-man on the uncharged Keeper's Verdict there. Going to combo that straight into that black hole. Very impressive stuff there. Nuffy's gonna go for a trade here. Knows that there's no threat here from the ults. So pretty well coordinated there for winning formula, and that's gonna net them the second Drake on the map here. And yeah, this is pretty good momentum considering they did have such a poor early game, considering how effective Zyra was early on. But you know, a little bit of a misplay there by Joby means they don't even get the technology kill.
Whoa! All right, Nuffy's.
Gets that solo kill in the mid lane.
Nerf my Zeri mid, dare you. Still able to pick up that solo kill. Yeah, you know, big to get that dragon stacking stop too, because that is the wary part of the trade. If you get 6 grubs, is you still give away dragon stacking, which can be big. Maybe would have been a bit bigger for IDF if it wasn't a Cloud Soul. I'm sure they were hoping for the other options, Mountain, Ocean, but Cloud Soul, and now nobody can get really close to a early soul in this game off the back of that beautiful combination. It's funny how badly that engage actually started too. You know, you didn't get the Ash Arrow route down. You didn't get the Poppy Slam into the wall. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. They really want to harass Zohar under this turret.
Yeah, Nuffy's is here though. They might be able to follow up, but just going to show on the ward. Not sure if anything else is going to get played through here, so pretty nice stuff. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is still in the pocket, so if they do overstay, that's still definitely a threat. Quality's just going to try and knock down this mid lane. Joby and Beyond Godly just taking away this red buff, but besides that, not going to get too much out of this bot lane play.
I like the focus trying to nail down this bot lane turret as low as possible, because if you do get low enough, you're just going to get yourself a free first turret with Dibble with that satchel charge. So doesn't hurt too much to overload, especially when the flip side on top side, you already gave Masuf a lot of time to farm up on his own with that play that Alpha Day made towards the bot side. So not a bad trade. That's another arrow whistling in the wind. Nothing to be found.
Joby might get played on here.
Trying to get his
He does miss.
Yep. Spied it away. Zohair will get it. And it's just battle of camps. They've traded Raptor camps all game long. Masuf is here. Has a bit of a speed up. Trying to chase somebody down. But won't get close enough to quality player. A lot of people up here towards the Rift Herald, though.
Yeah, that's the only objective on the map, so they're definitely all looking towards it. A lot of these champions have hit at least some sort of a power spike. We have that Static Shiv in mid, but Zyra, crucially, hasn't backed in quite a while. Has a lot of items here. Alpha Day fighting out Masuf.
Yep. Pulls Zohair off the Herald. Closest next member of IDF is Ibeon Godly. Does have everything in the kit of Flash available if they want to look for an engage here. Helping nearby as well. Ashe is going to be nowhere near this play. If everybody roams up first for IDF, it's going to be 5 versus 4. So Zohair's got to make a decision. Go for the Herald or bail out from this pit, because things could get nasty very quickly. And that's exactly what they'll do. They'll spot the flank materializing from Ibeon Godly. And the winning formula make the safe decision to maybe give this Herald away, unless Zohair goes in for a steal, falls exactly flat. The Herald will be picked up. There's the Grasping Roots down as well. Only going to find a knock-up onto Alpha Day, who's trying to retreat. Ibeon Godly does get the charm down. They throw the Inferno Bomb in. Nuffy's flashes forward, but won't find the kill. Ibeon Godly gets executed by the Shockwave. All these low health bars. Helper will be traded back. It's Herald and a couple of kills at the end of the day for the first real big skirmish.
Yeah, but Technology on the opposite side just gets the full turret on the bot side. Obviously, no plates attached, but you'll take at least a bit of gold swing, and that keeps the winning formula still ahead. Gold about 600, 700 there, so overall not too bad. Obviously, there's a bit more delayed gold from the Rift Herald, but besides that, it looks pretty good considering the positioning didn't look the most watertight.
Once again, though, saw the difference of this Orianna in plays that start off a little bit messy. Obviously, the 3-man Shockwave was, pure blitz. That's what we all like to watch League of Legends for. But the Shockwave found that trade when I thought the winning formula was just going to get absolutely bodied. So something to watch going forward, especially because there's only one tank on the IDF comp. So if anybody else gets caught in that combo, they might just be as good as dead.
Yeah, gonna have to keep an eye out for that one. Drake is coming up. It's 47 seconds. Ashe on the opposite side has the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so also the TP. I didn't even notice that early on.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Take that up to match the Ziggs, so actually able to side lane pretty effectively. And does Ashe is Ashe able to survive a Cassante in a side lane? That's what I'm curious to know. We'll have to wait and see for that. But looks like just overall IDF has much better positioning on this Drake, so they might just need to give it up here for the winning formula. That
would be the consensus safe thing to do. That's what I thought they were going to make the decision with on the Rift Herald when Zohair tried to go in for the sneaky last steal. Now the Marina maybe get pinched here. Nuffy is on the top side of this mid lane. Going to pop the Lightning Crash to try to go in. Cantology does kite back. They drop the arrow. They're going to try to burn through the Zeri, and they do. The winning formula turn for the first kill, and with the health bar still healthy, they're going to push with the might of 5. Down goes Masuf as well. Front line, both solo lanes down for IDF, and it couldn't have been at a worse time.
A really big Keeper's Verdict there for Alpha Day is going to knock away Zyra before the ult could actually come down. So a lot of the damage that could have come through didn't end up happening. And just like that, IDF, we thought had a great opportunity there, just completely thwarted by Poppy stalling out just a little bit, and they're able to burst out Nuffies before anything else can happen. So, yeah, I'd say a little bit poorly played there from IDF is going to net the winning formula. A lot of control here as they're also taking up these jungle camps as well.
Gonna steal away a blue buff. Definitely feels like Nuffy's with the Zeri pick wants to be the hero in so many of these fights, you know, always waiting for that lightning crash angle where the Zeri can just go crazy. Is at 2 items, one of the first people to arrive at that 2-item point on the Rift, but like we've talked about, just be a bit cautious with any sort of marksman and their build pass because it really doesn't feel like they hit as hard as they ever used to. So we'll see how that compares to damage that we know is reliable right now, Golden Gad, with an AP mage like Orianna.
Yeah, I mean, Zyra definitely, or not. Sorry. Too many Z's. They have Zyra, Zeri, and Ziggs. Zeri definitely still has the scaling factor and that kind of team fight potential, but I think the biggest thing is like the burst has gotten nerfed a lot, which means that you can't go for those aggressive plays as early on as you saw in that last fight. Because I think if that was last patch or 3 patches ago, I guess Zeri, I think Ashe would 100% die there. So you're definitely seeing kind of the difference there. Maybe not the most adaptation that could have been possible, but also Alpha Day did a great job of stalling in that fight, which made it very hard to link up there. But we're gonna see Riptail crash in the mid lane, and that's just a dead turret.
Ooh, arrow gonna go wide. Turret should fall with the satchel charge, I believe. No, Dibble actually couldn't get close enough to recast it. So the turret survives. There's the shockwave down for quality players looking for a pick onto Dibble, who does flash, and that's 75% of Dibble's health bar was all done by quality player. But now the front lines want a bit of scuffle on their own. IB Ungodly does jump on out. Nuffy's drops Lightning Crash. Elfiday's flank does not materialize until he flashes to commit on the knockup. IB Ungodly falls, and it's just continuous clean team fighting from the winning formula on this one.
Yeah, I feel like it's just so much easier for the winning formula to play, and these were the concerns I had to start off the game. Is like IDF doesn't have as strong of tools to actually get these fights going. Gwen kind of feels unstoppable. There isn't really that much damage. You really want those consistent, easy to use 80 carries on Gwen, and some easy CC as well, but not going to have it. Nuffy's.
Nuffy's, you tried to take the marksman out of the bottom lane, but you met the winning formula bottom lane. Helper playing towards his name there, giving Kentalji an easy kill.
Yeah, and now they're just going to keep roaming around the map. With this triple TP setup on both these teams, just expect side laning to be a thing, and then everyone just going to converge on these fights. And, you know, so far it's working out pretty well for both these teams, but you haven't really seen any big coordinated plays for IDF. A lot more grouping, less side laning into grouping. Joby going to barely miss out on the cancel there. Wasn't going to result in much, but at least would have stalled out.
Woo! Quality player. And he's got the Storm Surge now, Golden Gad, so why not just start stat checking with whoever you can? This is such a powerful point for any control mage to be in.
Yeah, that was pretty disgusting damage. If that was Syndra, you were dead, so, you know, Ori a little bit more fortunate, has to spec a little harder into AoE damage, so can't afford getting the one shot like that. But definitely on their way. They do have 2 amp tones in their inventory, so curious what that'll be. Maybe something like some Pen, or maybe even a Zanya's, potentially. Yeah, not too sure. Across the board, no items look too crazy. I think a lot of things are pretty normal. One thing to note, Sunfire Cape no longer has like ramping damage. It just has the flat. So it's back to normal. It's not a damage item anymore. It's just for simple wave clear. So I'm actually surprised to see Poppy pick it up, but I also haven't seen too much Poppy top. A lot more Poppy jungle where people are just going Sundered Sky. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there.
It's the fun part. It's the fun part about, you know, a new split, or I guess new split, new season. I always want to call it, with how much they've changed with no preseason. But everyone's got to figure out these build paths and what works best. And we are still figuring it out, especially in a competitive scene, because as much as you can easily pull up solo queue build from Mobalytics, comp demands more flexibility in those build paths, and that's what we use the Vanquisher League to learn more about with these Diamond Master players.
Yeah, the little guinea pigs running around, you know?
Yep.
It's always a little bit awkward because, you know, the Worlds is being played on, I don't know, like 14, 17, right?
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Worlds away, literally.
It's so frustrating. You're watching Worlds and you're like, oh, I can't play a game anywhere near like this.
Yeah, it's a little. I wish they'd have like a long patch for Worlds. I know someone brought it up recently in some podcasts. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, actually, because a lot of people watch these games and they want to play what the pros play, but they can't. But that's besides the point.
Oh, another missed arrow, but what an engage from Helper. Gets a 3-man Magnet Storm and just sends the Gwen to run wild. Nuffy tries to kite back. Masuf is able to pull Zohair out of the fray, but it doesn't matter. There's a ton of damage and a shockwave to boot from Quality Player. There's too much gold in the winning formula, and they find themselves another winning fight, maybe a bit more bruised than the last couple of times.
Nuffy's spotted out an award. Alpha Day goes for a little bit of a check. Not going to find it immediately. Gonna force Nuffy's to cancel recall, and you just walk it off, and that's 3 Drakes here for the winning formula from a huge engage from Helper. That was a 3-man crash down into Metal or Storm, something like that.
Magnet Storm. I've called it
There
Metal
you
Storm
go.
so many times as well. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a big storm of you're not going anywhere. That's what we
Yep.
call it.
That's a good description there. So huge combo, and then on top of that, doesn't even commit the shockwave on top of it, so still has it to be able to save Canonology against that Kazante later in the fight. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff there.
And the Gwen damage is starting to get scary too by that point. We saw a ton of work with the scissors. We're getting to the point where even on a patch where Riot is stressed that item differential doesn't matter as much, it still does somewhat, as some of these item leads are starting to show up with about a 3,000 gold lead in the name of the winning formula. And if they get on top of Nuffy's, could get even further here. Arrow, once again, going to fall flat. Helper does Hex Flash over. Nuffy's does not have Flash themselves. Commits Lightning Crash for the move speed. Speed up, but 1 Shockwave, 1 Storm Surge, order it up, and 1 Gray Screen for Nuffy's, like the snap of a finger.
Yeah, just not able to run it off. Doesn't have that flash. Has the TP as a secondary spell, so just gonna get ran down there by Helper. It really feels like this game is just kind of waiting for a big mistake from either of these teams to kind of just allow them to go take Baron. Not the most confidence to just start it up. Although I do think at this point, winning formula could just start it up. They do have Gwen, who does a ton of damage to that. Ashe, same thing. Poppy has great keep away as well. They probably could just force it. But they're playing a bit more reserved. They don't want to throw this lead, which I totally understand.
Yeah, recognizing almost that it feels like it should be a bigger lead than it is, but in reality, not. It's still sizable, but not game-breaking just yet. Maybe starting to really break open. Maybe now they were just waiting to see if they can knock down all those Tier 1 turrets, because especially once you get that mid-Tier 1 down, Golden Gad, you can just really open up your ward line so much more.
Yeah, and they don't really have any deep vision. Their deepest ward is on that mid bush there, so they just kind of have to rely on the opposing team making a big mistake, I think, since they aren't really killing any of the main carries here for quite a while, especially considering both TPs are up. So it's going to be pretty hard to actually collapse on someone, especially because Ziggs also doesn't have the most prio. Ziggs is an interesting champ, you know. When you are ahead, you feel unstoppable because you're killing people from absurd range, but when you're a little bit behind, you can't really force plays the way other AD carries can. You're kind of reserved to how your team is performing if you're kind of, you know, at the same level.
Yeah, you need a lot more setup. You just become a wave bot until somebody kind of sets you up for your damage, which Abi Ungodly has done a decent job finding those avenues. It's just, I really feel like it's a frontline difference.
Yeah, for sure.
The engages and the heal from Alpha Day and Helper have really been the unsung hero for the winning formula, who are yet to lose a team fight in my mind in this game.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, it's just so hard to get through this Poppy. I'm not gonna lie, because they're this is the problem with basically solo engage Rakan, is it's very, very telegraphed nowadays. So having solo engage, especially with that Poppy in the books, it's gonna be pretty tough. Nuffy's gonna die for this.
Yeah, worth though. I mean, that's a tier 2 turret, so that's a ton of gold. Almost, I actually believe in gold, pure gold. That's more gold for Nuffy's than the gold he gave over on that death.
Yeah, I think it was about 800. I think I saw.
Yeah, 780, I think. Yeah, so
Yeah.
man.
So pretty good stuff there. At least going to be able to grab that. That's the power of Zeri. You do get to split push that hard. But as I said, I really do think the winning formula should just go for this Baron. I really don't think there's anything that IDF can really do to stop that motion, since the Poppy Keeper's Verdict's still up. You do have the W as well to deny any of those powerful dashes. The main thing you'd have to be worried about is Ziggs. But in order to get in range, you are in Ashe Arrow range, you're in Flash Crash Down range, so, you know, I think they should just pull the trigger, but they are just going to go for this Soul in just a second. And Gwen with Cloud Soul is terrifying, to say the least.
even on those engage tools. I mean, giving it to Helper and to Alpha Day is very, very helpful. So maybe that's just what the winning formula we're playing for. Do have to be careful about the very obvious trade that they can give up. If they Baron for Soul, it's not a terrible trade, but it's just more gold to let IDF creep back in that item difference they're currently down on.
Yeah, they are at least threatening it, which is a good motion here by IDF, and they're just gonna start it up. Zeri,
Look at
a
all
lot
those
of pressure
plants
here. Blue Ward's gonna spot it out. Going for all fight. 2 TPs committed.
There's a big chunk already onto Nuffies. Alpha Day over the backside of the wall. The plants are still fighting the battle here for Joby. Finally will disperse. Stranglethorns was used by Joby just to get more plants up, so they don't have that Zyra ultimate to try and limit the winning formula more. They're getting in themselves into a poke battle, which is exactly what Dibble wants to do, but a flank can ruin it, and here comes Alpha Day on the flank. Keeper's Verdict sends the Ziggs flying. Momentary 5 versus 4 here. The winning formula can try and capitalize on it. Joby has to flash over wall to try and get away from Helper. Now looks for the turn, but gets eviscerated. Charms down for IB Ungodly. It's just a complete melting pot, but who comes out on top? The girl with the scissors. Zohair picks up an instant double ghost pop. Give it a triple. The Gwen is online. The Gwen is to be feared, and so is the winning formula.
Yeah, they catch Chronology, but that does not matter at all. You're a multi-threat comp. A big shockwave into the Gwen Scissors is going to steal the deal here. They're going to pick up Baron, and then probably mosey their way on over to that Drake and get another one. So winning formula, really making it work, and I think, yeah, the comp diff, that's about all I got to say.
I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. So, Nuffies will do a good job to at least, well, maybe pick up another turret, but my God, quality player doesn't let him live very much long after that. It's fun when you watch an Orianna get to delete people.
Yeah, that was a one shot through Maw, or not Maw, Hex Drinker. I don't think it had the active up, or the passive, but yeah, that's still some MR. You know, it's not just completely glass cannon. So. There you go. You got to see that one shot, and it's only going to get worse. You got Rabs now in the pocket after that kill, most likely, for quality players. So I think this is basically just a ticking time bomb ready to explode.
And now Zohair has his amazing Cloud Soul, where he can just run at about 500 move speed in the mist with his 3-item Rabadon's 10 Darksteel capped Gwen. They've got Grubs, they've got Baron. What don't the winning formula have right now in game number 1?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're missing 1 Hex Drakes. That's about all I got.
And maybe a Nexus that they have.
Maybe a Nexus, yeah, that's true. But I feel like it's on they ordered that already. It's on its way. It's getting shipped over.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it feels inevitable, and the classic caster saying does feel like it's going to come online. It needs to be a mistake from the winning formula. Magnet Storm doesn't get much here from Helper, but the Shockwave, I mean, the damage is just ludicrous at this point. Dibble didn't even have a chance to play the game. The teleports come across from the 3 teleport, the winning formula, and all of a sudden they've got 5 stacked up, and they're just going to try and bowling ball their way down. Ashero finally hits, and it's on to Nuffies, who can't get any usage out of his Lightning Crash, has to run for his own fountain, and now the Grubs, the Baroned up waves, to the winning formula, just go for the knockout blow here.
Yeah, with 6 Grubs, this is going to be so much damage. And push here. They're going to look for it. The turrets evaporate. Alpha Day getting a little low. There's some potential, but it's looking tough.
They definitely have some low health bars, but who cares about your health bars when the only one to take is the Nexus? Commanding game 1 win for the winning formula to start off our series.
Yeah, that was a pretty big stomp, I'd say. Definitely making it happen when it counts. And they're going to take us out to a quick game 1, I'd say. The winning formula really takes their draft lead, push it through all the way. Really didn't feel like there were too much contention there. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Don't play Cassante. It is not a good champion. It really felt useless. I mean, particularly into a Poppy Gwen, I feel like it was extra bad circumstances, so that's a little unfortunate, but I'd just play it safe, play some other champions that are a little bit stronger right now. And besides that, I feel like Ziggs works. Zeri seems to be okay. I don't like the Zyra that much, to be honest. So maybe they could pivot away from that and going into this game too. But the winning formula, I think they had the good identity. They drafted that Ashe first pick, and even if it didn't land too many arrows, it still seemed quite influential in that game. Just being able to kind of zone out some of these very scary carries. So
Man, that really rolled off the tongue, Golgad. Very scary carries. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, we're in October, folks, so enjoy your spooky season. I'm sure those puns are going to start rolling out more and more. Very scary sight for the rest of this series if you are Iridescent Dawn Frozen. I think you made all the great points there, Golgad. I'll just reinforce them. Zyra Zeri would have been fun about 3 patches ago. This draft could have worked really well about 3 patches ago, but it just does not work in the current state of League of Legends if you have a disciplined team like the winning formula who showed total team fight discipline in this one. Side selection going to be available to Iridescent Dawn Frozen. We'll get to that, though, on the other side of our mission here. We'll take a break and see if there's something left cooked up for our start to the Vanquisher League, or if we're getting out here with brooms behind our backs. Stick right with us. Bounce back time here. If you are Iridescent Dawn Frozen, as we are welcoming in another split of the Vanquisher League here with Titan Esports, and the winning formula welcomed us into some pretty convincing League of Legends in Game 1 there, Golden Gad.
Yeah, pretty convincing indeed. Did not really give too many openings throughout that entire game. There was just that slight lead in the very beginning with those two good Zyra ganks on the bot side, but after that, it was the winning formula all the way through. No real big contention here, and I laid up some pretty big draft adaptation I think you're going to need to make if you are IDF in particular. You need a bit stronger of a mid laner. I feel like something that can actually move. You know, Zeri, pretty good at just farming out lanes and then eventually team fighting, but the moving potential is not as high as something like an Ori where you can just join, click shockwave, come back to your wave, clear it, right back up. Another thing, obviously, Cassante. Don't want to see that champion. We'll see if it ends up coming through again, you know. Riot finally gives us a break from Cassante. They're like, we're finally going to hand you the nerfs. And then people willingly still play it, so that's pretty cool. And then Zyra, not too bad, but overall, like, just not the right spot for it, since Gwen is quite strong into that pick. So they have a couple of adaptations. I didn't mind the bot lane. I think Ziggs is fine, but you need a bit more of a bit more damage threat that has a bit more agency. Solo engage Rakan is not going to work out, and things that are notably missing from these games is like Jarvan. Where's Jarvan? This champ's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Didn't get banned in the last game either, so I'm pretty surprised there. Another champ that's been propping up a little bit is Nocturne. I've seen that actually a couple times. Another one of those kind of AD physical bruiser champs that has a lot of agency in these games that could have actually been pretty good into that last comp, especially because there were some isolated carries that you could definitely neutralize there. So definitely some opportunity here for the side of IDF coming into game 2.
Yeah, I'm just, the more I'm watching games at different levels, I guess some of the like I've seen, I've gotten to cast some, challenger level leagues myself, and the prevailing theme to me here with what we're tank items are at this time is you can really get away with just drafting a bigger front line. And for me, the last game you mentioned, like Rakan solo engage is problematic when you don't have a Cassante that's super tanky that didn't get like a big enough lead and is nerfed. So if you really want to stick to like, yeah, we like playing Zeri mid, yeah, we like throwing Ziggs bottom lane, just draft like a Nautilus next to this thing. Draft a Sejuani in the jungle. Draft a Mundo or a Cho'Gath topside. If you give enough space to those guys to get enough damage out, maybe things can work out. I'm just the proponent of it really feels like, as lame as it kind of is in my mind, the bigger front lines have been doing better across the leagues that I have gone to watch. We'll see if that adaptation comes in as we are into game number 2 draft. And I don't see a ton of adaptation from the bans here. The Yone ban, the only one so far.
Yeah, not a bad call out there. I said last game, I think Yone is a good pick that they could actually lean towards, but we didn't end up seeing it. So that means the Lilia is still up. I'd be curious if IDF ends up banning the Ashe compared to last game where they left it open. Never mind, Lilia's banned out. Can't remember what ban was dropped out of that rotation for TWF, but that's besides the point. Kog'Maw also getting a bit of a ban here, and then Rel is going to be their adaptation. They don't want to deal with the layered engage of the Rel and potentially an Orianna again, so that's going to leave the Ashe back up. They were fine playing Ziggs into it, and it looks like they're probably going to end up going for that exact same thing. Yep. Let's run it back. I hope not to see Cassante on R2, but it's possible.
I forgot to mention, we're running back the same size. My mistake, everybody at home. The winning IDF wanted the red side again. I was scared they're leaving LeBlanc up. I think LeBlanc is also as scary as Syndra is in the mid lane, maybe a little bit different, a little more complicated than Syndra currently is to play in the mid lane. So I thought we might see a B1 Syndra from quality player, maybe not a LeBlanc player. Watch that pick as this draft evolves, as we do see a new look for IDF here. The Jhin, very powerful in the current meta, and Udyr, the top of solo queue ladder for junglers, was banned away in the second phase by the winning formula. So already some good adaptations for IDF.
Yeah, Gwen gonna get picked up again, and I mean, it's another situation where Gwen's not bad because you picked Udyr, which has very few counters, but Gwen, it does do pretty well into that champion as the game does go on. They're gonna plug and play Leona and Rel, doesn't matter too much, just gonna swap it up there. Obviously not playing into Ziggs, and I actually like Leona to Jhin. I think it's a pretty good pick. You get to click R on Jhin if Jin's ever in range when picking up that ultimate, but there's the Nautilus you called out it earlier. So now they have a very defined front line with that Udyr and Nautilus, and this Ashe's life just got a lot harder, and that kind of dissuades Orianna, but they're just going to ban it out anyways. So that's a pretty big call out. So now I'm really curious to see what quality player is going to end up picking up coming into these late picks.
Yeah, I'm still going to keep saying, unless it gets banned here, if either one of these teams want to play LeBlanc is a really good way to be annoying for teams that are building frontline, because you're like, where the hell did this guy just distort from to delete my AD carry? So we'll see if somebody goes for it. Diana also very powerful if you got a Diana player. Just anybody like Storm Surge, folks. Storm Surge is still overtorqued for one more patch. So we'll see what these mid lane picks look like. Counter pick is still in the hands of IDF, so keep that in mind for Nuffies if they go towards the mid lane. The Rumble lock-in makes me think they are leaving Nuffies for the counter pick.
Yeah, seeing Rumble, I don't like this champion anymore. I know even pros, they're playing on the same kind of Rumble, so, they are still playing it, so I guess it's fine if we play it, but we're going to get the Renekton answer. This champ is very strong, but traditionally Rumble does pretty well into Renekton, but I've heard a lot of the matchups that Rumble traditionally dominates is now even, and if they were even before, you're losing in the early lane. So I'd be a little bit scared here, but we're going to see Ahri get locked up immediately, and the kind of identity for the winning formula is a little bit different here. You're going for a bit more of a pick comp with that kind of fallback strategy of that Gwen, and we're going to see Aatrox potentially in mid.
Man, IDF love these flex picks, man. All right, so I feel like this might be a Rumble. Aatrox is terrible to Ahri. I would hope you at least throw a Rumble because you can at least get some range damage. Aatrox just gets ran by quality player. Yeah, so Nuffies, man, he's like, all right, Golden Gad, I'm bringing a marksman to the mid lane. Game 2, I'm bringing a top player to the mid lane. I refuse to play any of these mid laners on this patch. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. I think I'm definitely curious, but I do think IDF has drafted a pretty strong comp besides that. Jhin, Nautilus, Aatrox, Udyr, these champs, they explain what they're gonna do on their own. So I'm pretty excited to see who will win, and it's not so easy for me to call because I feel like neither of these comps have the super easy face roll kind of team comp. IDF's a little bit closer on that, but I think TWF definitely has some room to outplay.
Well, let's see what we. Well, I guess we'll see what our lovely draft speculator decides to think about our two comps in a bit here. I do think the difference here, pro comps. All right, so we're pretty even. All right, pro comps. I guess. Cool, guy, you're keeping up. You're keeping up with pro comps. You're reflecting what the math is thinking. The one area I think these team fights differentiate is IDF is a lot more ult reliant. You relying on an equalizer. You're relying on good curtain calls, good depth charges. The winning formula, if this game goes even towards team fights, the winning formula has flankability. You've got a Renekton that wants to dive backline. You've got an Ahri that wants to dive backline. And IDF are just about steamrolling whoever's in front of them. So I would hope that we have an early game that isn't one-sided, because I think if these two comps get into even footing team fights, it's going to be a lot of skill expression to decide if we still have a series on our hands or not.
Yeah, I think also another thing to point out is the winning formula this Gwen is kind of their centerpiece because they have 4 champs that are built for pick comps. And then I always say you cannot index too heavily into pick comps. You need to have some sort of fallback that is that consistent damage. So seeing the Gwen here is really good. So I'd actually like to see Joby kind of use the early advantage Udyr finds in the jungle, kind of abuse Gwen and force her out of the jungle a little bit, just to actually mess around with the tempo that this Gwen can provide once the first and second clears come through. So yeah, I'll have to see if Joby kind of picks up on that.
Certainly a different matchup, like you're highlighting, because it's not a Zyra, and this, I think that's a great point to make. Zohair shouldn't be allowed to just free farm jungle like they were last game with this Udyr. Definitely can win a 1v1 skirmish pre-level 6, playing for maybe Grubs this time if they want to play for the Grubs instead of the Dragon stacking. We'll see as the game evolves. Looking pretty similar to game number 1 so far, at least with lane states. Winning formula able to get
walking red.
Oh yeah, good. I didn't even spot that.
That was a good ward, so at least they know that where Udyr is perfectly, but they are going to ping out that Renekton did walk, so they will know it is warded, and then move on. But, right now you're seeing Udyr outpace just a little bit, but not going to go for anything crazy, because the lane prio can't be established this early for the Rumble, and same for the Aatrox, so going to at least give some space here for the Gwen to play in this first clear, but it really will come down to the second clear once the resets come through.
Well, those clears are still to be determined. It does feel like so far the winning formula have pretty good push, mostly in the bottom lane. Top lane has that push going. Joby is done with his clear, so maybe looking to punish Alpha Day.
Bad position for Alpha Day here. This is looking rough.
Yep, already commits the flash, still gets knocked up. That is positioning error for First Blood. So back-to-back games. Iridescent Dawn Frozen able to grab that key gold injection.
Yeah, Joby, nice movement there. Gonna walk down and just push in this wave. Good management here for Alpha Day. Has to force the TP out. Gwen just gonna go for that bottom scuttle. Did not even try to go for the top scuttle. Didn't want to risk getting chased down. But did have the ghost, so I think he could have risked it. But just gonna trade out this scuttle. And now is on the bot side. Maybe at an unexpected timing, so might be able to find something here.
There's no vision for Abby on Godly and Dibble, so they have no idea what's going on in their river. But the problems of Gwen. Early game, not good setup for ganks, not enough damage to commit, so we'll just go back to farming up.
Yeah. Just going to go back, grab up that first Raptor respawn, and then probably go for a bit of a reset to end up back in this bot lane. Unless they want to reset for Grubs, which is a potential here. But no, just going to go for a full 6-camp clear into the top Grubs. Pretty good strategy, I'd say, especially if you're playing this Gwen. Just keep the momentum up. Especially since all these lanes seem to be neutralized for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, Alpha Day still finding some pretty good trades, and Massive, even though there's a clear item discrepancy going on between the two of them. It's always fun to watch Renekton and Aatrox, because top lane skirmishes post level 6 Golden Gat are just, I dare you to ult first, because whoever clicks ult first, the other one just runs away. And they both vying for ult advantage.
Yeah, we saw so much of this matchup a couple seasons ago, so feels like we're back at home, It's a return to form. Some people will not like this form, though. I will say that. As they're just going to shove in kind of this bot lane as well. They want to establish some sort of control, maybe get an early reset. Leona goes in for the E there.
Yeah, able to find some decent damage. Kentology trying to stack up that lethal tempo that has been welcomed back into League of Legends. IB Ungodly does take the worst of the two brunts. Quality player out of mana, having to flash. Nuffy's going to follow, but just doesn't attack, and the dive fails.
Just no cooldowns there. Usually not the least of Rumble's concerns there. Usually it's the overheat, but just not going to have the E up, so just going to flash into nothing. At least they don't trade over any kills, and they at least get Ari's flash out. But coming into level 6 for the Ari, that is a little bit scary since she will have that Spirit Rush, and that's a pretty frightening sight, especially since, you know, it has to be the laners to get the engage, not the jungler, so I'd be a little more scared if you are Nuffy's coming in.
Well, I'd be scared if you were Dibble getting a Zenith Blade to the face, does pop the cleanse, having to kite back. Kentology flashes, flash for flash met. The slow's still coming, but Kentology will turn his attention to IB Ungodly, just trying to get as many arrows into as many people as possible. The volley back up, and both feeling the pains, but Alpha Day is topside, outplaying a 1v2 gank somehow, kills off Joby, and Masuf can't even find the trade.
Yeah, that was rough, I'd say. You now have lost your lane lead in the top lane, and also at the same time they grab up the grubs here for Zohair. So it's looking like a common theme here for TWF, where, you know, IDF gets that early lead and kind of gets turned around immediately. But they just poking out, trying to shove the wave, but Masuf's wisely freezing it in front, so not going to actually have any dive potential unless quality player finds it.
Whoa, bot side, we're going for a dive, but Joby's here to try and clean up at least, but not before it's at least a trade. A double-double coming up there on the bot side, but if you're TWF, Kentology picking up 2 kills might be the bigger winner.
Masuf needs to get out of here. This is definitely going to be a play onto him. Gonna look for a quality player. Gonna go in now. If the minion takes the turret, yep, that's it.
Alpha Day very low, doesn't want to be the one to take up, does have the rage bar, but he doesn't get the Q off, he doesn't get Golden Meek in time. Masuf tries to flash to get rid of Zolair as well. Quality player will finally clean up the mess left. But some interesting dives in game number 2, to say the least.
Yeah, that was pretty ugly. We could say it how it is. Was probably waiting for the Ari charm to come through, but it never did. And then was just going to Q out, but took too much damage there from Masuf, so gets something back on the return play. And because of how long Zohair was in that top side, going to claim up this Drake here for IDF, so very similar to last game, but pretty even at this point in the game since Rumble got to shove in a couple waves uncontested.
Powerful spot. Gets the CS lead, gets those plates. That's why we are in such a dead even state, but once again, some patterns forming between our two games. Still Zohair very much in for the grubs, and the first dragon going the way of Joby. The only thing that really broke up that strategy was a huge teamfight loss for IDF around that Drake bit.
Yeah, and I will say one last thing to point out for these comps is, you know, Merc Tread's value on the side of IDF is crazy. I mean, I'd say actually Merc Tread's value on both these teams is pretty crazy. A little bit less so for IDF on TWF. But yeah, I definitely want to see that purchased up. But Dibble's just gonna get down.
Helper able to survive the last turret shot, will buy time. I don't even know if IB Ungodly gets this trade, and Helper is establishing himself as one of the premier engaged supports, it feels like, in this small sample size of games. Leona, Rel, able to get it done. Joby is here, spot on a ward. Pops the Ghost, looking to chase down Helper. Let's see how good Kentology can kite off of this Udyr. Good stun from Helper. He's still up and kicking, and with the lethal tempo of the slows, this might get turned right on Joby's head. He's going to get the kill with the ultimate on the fadeaway, has the speed up. Quality player, though, will cut down the angle. Another trade, another set of gold injection to Kentology's name.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough play. At least gets the kill there with the empowered ultimate. From onto Helper, but yeah, that's still a little bit rough. A little bit extra gold into the pocket of Kentology, and that's a different look than last game. You know, Ash was kind of struggling in the last one, where it was just felt like I catch waves in side lane. Alpha Day way too far forward. Has to force flash there, and that's a resource you definitely want to keep up, especially since the second wave of grubs are spawning quite soon here. But
Alpha Day does Alpha Day have a different health bar than we're seeing? Because this guy loves to play on the absolute knife's edge with his health bar. I know the rage bar gives you big healing for Cole the Meek, but not yet, my friend.
Yeah, that's just confidence. It feels like I could play the numbers game better than you can, but it hasn't worked out 100% of the time. I'll say
Nope.
that.
I don't even know if we're at 50% of the time so far, but you know what does work 100% of the time? Face checking, death brushes, and going to a gray screen. Joby's learned the hard way here. Full needle workout, full combo from Zeri, or excuse me, Gwen. I am getting flashbacks from last game. But we got more action rolling as a good charm from Quality Player sets up a stun lock onto Nuffies. Does Quality Player have enough damage to overtop it? That becomes the question. One more charge of the Spirit Rush. The Q comes across, and DWF are just back to clean fighting that got them the Game 1 win.
Yeah, DWF really making the most of it, and even with the Merc Treads, still can't survive that much CC. Leona plus the Ari just really stacking up there. Make it very difficult to live. And, you know, I was talking about how hard this game is going to be if they don't find themselves ahead for IDF, but now with TWF with a quite considerable lead, the Gwen is accelerated a little bit. At least they might be able to get a kill on Katanology here. 300 gold in the pocket.
At that 6 cents to run away, but now, yeah, the angles are getting cut down. Good flash, though, right over top. Gets out of the curtain call range, misses the dredge line, and Kentology stays safe for now.
Yeah, gonna have to force the flash, but that was at least good looks. I think they should have forced the curtain call a little earlier. I think maybe they could have gotten the kill that way, but, you know, hindsight 2020. Also, we have God Vision, so, you know.
Yeah, that does help.
To consider. And yeah, I think this is just going to slow down a bunch. They will have next Drake coming up in about a minute. Elf Day, you're seeing that trading pattern here.
Yep. Black Cleaver versus Eclipse. Which item feels better right now? There's the ult check. Does Alpha Day want to check it with his own? Yes, he does. Building up the rage bar. His health bar is far too low, though. Kolamik, like we talked about, just doesn't heal you enough, my friend. And starting to see that maybe Masuf is actually ahead in that top lane.
Yeah, the Eclipse working out. All the shielding is paying dividends there. The Cleaver not exactly so useful when you don't have any armor stacking. Really is no armor at all on this top side. I mean, doesn't even have boots, which is surprising.
Yeah. That's a really interesting first item for Renekton, actually, now that you talk about it.
Yeah, because the only one who really is going to build tanky is Udyr, and that's much later in the game. So, yeah, a little bit surprising there, but maybe just likes the stats it gives, the cooldown reduction. Always nice. And I guess you get to do basically true damage to some people when you have the Black Cleaver stacked up, so that's another benefit. But the Drake will go the way of TWF since that Udyr is clearing on that top side, so Mountain Drake in their pocket. Not going to feel too upset there. Dibble, bad spot again.
Yep, just help her right in his grill this entire game. The turn, not going to be good enough. Depth charge down on Kentology. They have a teleport behind. Kentology has no flash. Teleport is matched, but Nuffies is here first. Equalizer down. Helper will dodge it out. They turn the arrow on Nuffies' head, and hello! Here comes another great screen for you, my friend. Kentology goes on a killing spree, and the bot side is all the winning formula. Oh, they're out. They're out. We're good.
Yeah.
You know who's
no
not
pressure.
good? Alpha Day.
Yeah, Alpha Day. Another one. Over to Masuf again. Pretty sure Joby was in the area to actually help out on that one, so gonna just be that 1+1 there in the top side. But they're gonna trade out the mid lane turret here, and you know, that's gonna be at least some gold back into the pocket of TWF, and they're gonna persist with this 3K gold lead, about to turn into 4K right there. So it's pretty good, and the bot lane's gonna go down too after these rough resets. So I mean, TWF, much more commanding lead. Maybe it doesn't feel like that since the comps are a bit closer compared to last game, but I mean, this is dire straits here for IDF besides that top side.
I always forget how much gold you can get if you take turrets pre 14 minutes, and we just saw, I mean, that's 10 plates. They were able to take 10. Actually, I'm gonna try and break the caster rule of doing math on stream. That top lane turret makes me think they got about 12 or 13 plates. The winning formula did in that early 14 minutes.
Yeah, and that's one, I'm not doing the math on that, but that is a lot of gold.
Yep.
So they're just gonna extend that lead a lot, and now they could just go straight for that Rift Herald, and that's another turret you could potentially crack. And these tier 2s are extremely valuable. So given this might go towards the Gwen, this is going to be pretty rough. Wow, look at that bot lane lead.
My God, look at that camp from Helper. How long was he in that brush? It doesn't matter, because like he's been doing all game long, he's got the stuns for days, and Kentology better be tipping his hat to his support, just earning him kill after kill. That's his 6th of the game.
Yeah, what was that? 3K gold lead for the Ashe over the Jhin right now? That is disgusting.
Oh, and I have a bit of a bone. This is my problem with Jhin players. Some Jhin. So I know rapid fire static is like the big Jhin build, but I don't think you can build it in a game with this front line. I guess we'll have to talk about it later because they are going after that Fed Ashe. Depth charge down, curtain call through. Joby should have enough damage, even though he ate the arrow to the face, and that is a double kill off one shot for Dibble. Big set of, that's over 1,000 gold.
Yeah, that was actually a huge swing there. Zohair in the bush here. Dibble, no.
Oh, no.
You just got paid.
Your fate is sealed between 2 pairs of scissors and a fox. Or 1 pair of scissors. My math. This is why I don't do math, man.
I try and do the math. Don't worry. I got you.
Okay, you got me. Okay. What's the math on this turret play here? I think one dead turret.
Like 750 gold, right? So that should just be free gold in the pockets. 167 times 3 plus 100 to everyone else. Whatever.
Well, I'm going to give it to you. I think you were there. I think you were on the mark. Oh, okay. Zohair smited out of the Herald.
Soof in the good spot.
Yep. This Aatrox is the powerful member here for IDF, but watch his health bar crumble as he eats a charm and a double stun to the face, and that is a Fed Renekton diving under the turret alongside quality player. This is just getting disrespectful. The winning formula know that they are the better team today, it feels like.
GG. I'm going to call it now. However, Caster Curse is a thing. However, I always call it, and I've only been wrong once. So, we'll see.
Reputation on the line.
I know.
In week 1. I love it.
Yep. You gotta bet it all. That's just how it goes. They are going to at least come to a pretty significant advantage, 16 minutes. This just brings up the meme, how did Mad lose in 1647? Sorry.
Hey, listen. We can con EU whenever we want on these broadcasts. I will never tell you not to do that.
As long as we don't bring up 100 Thieves. Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Let's go R7. That's our team.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. That's our playing team, everybody. Actually, yeah.
Pain too.
We're Pain Gaming. Yeah, I'm with Pain at this point. So
they're all on the charts, to be honest. Other than whoever the hell 100 Thieves is,
Huh, don't recognize that name.
Nope.
Anyways, this is what happens when you get a game state where one team is just so very much so far ahead, but there is some avenues for IDF to try and play back in this one. One way could just be finding Zohair by himself, 1 versus 4. They're going to go for the engage onto the Gwen, lock her down, try and burn through her. The Equalizer will get the job done, but look at the backside of this fight. It's just an Ashe and an Ari running absolutely wild. You might find one pick, but you don't get the big bad, and that is quality player who gets a Spirit Rush reset, dashes over the wall, finds Nuffies, is waiting on cooldowns. The charm, one more Q should do it, but it's Helper to slam it home. 1 kill traded for 4 as the winning formula chug along.
Yeah, now Ashe is going to push out that mid lane, and they are just going to also grab the bot lane turret. So they're really opening up this map. They want to have full control so they can just abuse this pick comp as much as possible. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look like they're playing a pick comp because they're so far ahead that their gold leads are just carrying them through. But yeah, it's looking pretty rough. Alvaday going to grab up that 700 and just extend that lead almost to 10k at this point. Yeah, it's feeling pretty tough. If you are IDF.
Yep, they're picking up another Cloud Drake. We have 2 Cloud Souls. Got a secret for you guys at home. Don't think we're going to get to a Cloud or any Soul this game the way we are.
What? No way.
Paving around. Yeah, I know. It's crazy concept the way we're paving forward here. But I mean, the easiest way to sum this up, just look at the item differences. I know we could also flash up the gold to show how different it is, but yeah, I mean, why not? We can take a look. 2,000 in the mid lane, 1,000 in the top lane. That was the worst lane for the winning formula. And like you just heard, Golden Gad mentioned, it is basically 3,000 between Kitology and Dibble right now.
Even support, 2k for the Leona.
Let's go, Helper.
Yeah, Helper really standing up here for support players. They can earn gold too, but here we go. Alpha Day gonna get bullied yet again. 3 players towards his bot side. Will they commit anything? Doesn't look like it. Just gonna go for this kill on the Croc.
Yep, flashes out of one chain, pops the Dominus, maybe a bit late, gets a big heal on the Cole the Meek, but there isn't enough more help coming his way. Nearly trades out Joby, but the shutdown will come across. Problem is, what's happening on the flip side of the map?
Yeah, Nuffy's just gets picked out with the help of that Spirit Rush, and they still have the Ash Arrow to be able to extend this play even further if they wanted to. Looks like they're just going to peel off. They want to go towards that Baron, and as soon as Alpha Day respawns, that is a TP up, so they really should feel confident going towards this buff here.
I mean, at this point, why not just start it? Yeah, I mean, they're just going to jump onto it. They like their odds in a 4v4. They will be spotted. Scrying Orb finds it, but Joby's half HP. Tibble takes one look and says, yeah, we can't stop this.
Maybe they might be able to get mid lane turret, but this is risky. They do have wards behind them for a potential flank here. They're going to pass towards bot. Ash Arrow comes through.
Oh, good use of the ram stance. Joby just tanks it like a Chad. Dibble does have to flash a Zenith Blade, but could have been worse.
Yeah, not bad there. Nice use of that powered ram. And just going to walk it off. Don't get anything really in exchange besides that kill on Alpha Day, but it's looking pretty tough. I think Gwen now has potential to just open up the rest of this map, but really is who's gonna get charmed first, who's gonna get Ash Arrowed, who's gonna get Leona stunned. It's gonna be Nuffy's, but not gonna actually commit for the full play there. Just a nice half HP chunk. And now all three waves getting shoved in. This is pretty well played here for TWF. They definitely know how to side lane.
Oh
nice
my
charm.
god, the fade away charm. Well, big heal though on the empowered auto attack. Quality player is gonna die to a curtain call shot to the back. That was a turn nobody was expecting.
Yeah, that was very well played there. Good equalizer on top into that third shot there. Wasn't expecting the Sundered Sky. I assume that what was that from a Soof there. Just finds a bunch of damage. Now Alpha Day in a pretty bad position. They might be throwing just a little bit. Nuffy's no equalizer.
Alpha Day, man. This guy does not care the odds. So he's going to go back in here with the dominance, the Cole, the Meek. My god, he's definitely got enough damage to at least make it one. Alpha Day goes 1 for 4, and the top lane chat player probably is typing win in chat for that one.
Yeah, send more. That's what he's saying.
Yep,
for sure.
Yep. Top die.
Yep, top die. Exactly. But both times I called out a champion in particular that I just don't like, they've ended up 0 and something.
Oh, hold on. I have to hold that sentiment as the Jad helper is getting engaged on, but tanky Leona with Resolve just eats up all that damage. They at least force a teleport on a quality player, force a flash out beyond godly. Arrow's going to whiff wide, and, well, IDF have seemingly at least survived the Baron play.
Yeah, not the worst. We definitely putting in a bit of a fight with the help of some questionable plays. But, they're making it work, and this is kind of what you need to do if you are this far behind. You need to just take capitalization on little tiny mistakes and kind of blow them wide open with tempo. Nuffy's kind of in a bad position. Zohair
has the Ghost, has the Needlework, slows are coming. Nuffy's, there's nothing for you to juke back and forth, my friend. The might of this Gwen is unrelenting. There's a kill to maybe hopefully break more of the base open.
Yeah, Nuffy's real rough one here. Rumble, like I said, a little bit harder of a champion to play. Gonna hook up helper.
Mythology just flashed purely for a slow onto Massive, so flash off the Ash, which is pretty powerful at the very least. Still a man advantage for the winning formula. They don't have Baron, but they do have an open inhibitor to target and the Grubs, so they'll try and index that with Alpha Day, who will hop on to the inhibitor. Mid tier 3 turret down, next inhibitor up for the chopping block. And IDF feels like you gotta go for something here, or get back to your Nexus turrets, one of the two. They'll take the second.
Yeah, they're just going to take these two inhibs, walk it off, and now they could peel back toward Cloudric, but they want to fight.
Yep, there's the fight. Beautiful solar flare. Helper says, no curtain call for you, Dibble, and now the front-to-back fight begins. The equalizer is down, but you can see one thing prevailing. Not enough damage in the hands of IDF. They are getting eviscerated. They tried to stand tall. They'll fall absolutely flat. It's as clean as you can come. 5 kills for 1 death, and the winning formula start right foot forward for the Vanquisher League season, week 1, with a 2-0 split.
Dominant victory here for TWF. They're going to make a real show of it in this first opening match. They're setting the tone. They're saying this is the bar you need to be playing at the very least. And everyone's going to have to catch up as this season progresses. So I'd say a pretty good look out of the Gwen jungle. I have not seen Gwen do that well in the jungle in competitive play, to be honest. Every time I've seen this champion, it's fallen flat in the jungle. But you know, they showed that it could work if you do have those dominant lanes, and yeah, it's pretty well played here from TWF. As IDF going to start off their season 0-1, going to need to have a bit of a bounce back, since there are only 6 weeks. You know, that's that's pretty scary if you are them. So
yeah, so I mean, this was just a speed run for the winning formula. But forgot to mention, this was a Group A showcase on the mainstream here for the Vanquish League. So the winning formula will be one of the few 1-0 teams in the Vanquisher League Group A. But you can take a look at some of the stats. Stats are always fun. I love the stats that, you know, the Titan League will be able to throw up, but not to disrespect them, they really don't matter too much. I mean, it's just the winning formula dominating. At least the one shout out you can give out is just Aatrox, who definitely handled business in the top lane, but it doesn't matter when you have 4 other champions that are too far behind.
Yeah, but I was saying a point in the middle of that game. Both champs I called out as do not play this champion. They got picked, and both of them went 0 and something. So, you know, I'm not saying to listen to me, but maybe give it a consideration. And going forward, I mean, this is kind of what the meta's gonna be. These supportive AD carries with pretty bruisery top lane jungle pairings, and then either setup or team fight kind of mid laners to really round out those comps. So we're back to, I mean, I'd say even like 2017, 2016 meta. This is where we're going back all the way, except there's no enchanters. So that's at least fortunate. I would hate to see a Yuumi in a meta like this, right?
Oh, don't even Yuumi. I will say, you know what I heard from some players a bit higher up was that enchanters are back. I've heard that Lulu's very powerful, so I'm fine getting some enchanters in here. We've been all engage oriented for the last 6 months in the support role. It's fun. It is more fun. I'll give it to you, but we'll see if we get some spice up. There was nothing but salt and pepper from this matchup. The winning formula absolutely handled business to kick off our Vanquisher League coverage with a 2-0. I will say that does kind of do it for our broadcast here. Gold Gad, do you have any final remarks before we kick the bucket to the end stream?
No, glad to see everyone back and ready to play some League of Legends for this 14-19 extravaganza that Riot has prepared for us. I will say one shout out over to Titan Esports 2. They're holding it down over there, so definitely check them out. I just checked the status of their game. They're currently starting game 2, so 13 minutes in, so you could definitely go and transition over there once we finish up here. So there's still more League to be watched tonight, so thank you.
Damn it, Golden Gad, he stole my flow. That's what I was going to do right after your conclusion. Yeah, I mean, he's great casters think alike, I guess.
You give me the opportunity.
Yeah, that's true.
You should have just taken it, you know?
Yeah. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. You know, I enjoyed. You know, I'm glad that I am here now for Vanquisher League with Titan Esports. It was fun. First broadcast. You'll be seeing a lot more of our friendly faces around here, hopefully, with the Vanquisher League. Big shout out as well to the production behind the scenes. Chris makes all these amazing graphics, makes everything run great, except when we can't have replays. I'm just messing with you, Chris. We didn't miss that many kills.
We missed so many kills. It was crazy.
Nonetheless, it's certainly be fun. I'm assuming we're going to set up a raid here for Titan to go over to Titan 2. Like you heard Golden Gad mention, a Group B matchup is going on there between True Minded Gaming Death Knights and Sensei Squad Tsukiyomi. I probably butchered that. Apologize. Okay, I got there somehow. So we're going to throw you guys to that broadcast if you want to get more Vanquisher League action. Always keep locked to the Titan Esports Twitch channels. They've got League of Legends games running all week long, coming Wednesday, Thursday, and then most importantly, get back here on Tuesdays to check us out here in the Vanquisher League. But that's been Golden Cat. I've been Slayer. Enjoy the rest of your night and take care.